Set a goal so ambitious that you become the person that you talk about in your goal. You know, we often overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we massively underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. And you gotta vocalize your goals, because if you do, it'll put more pressure on you in a good way to get that goal done and to make it a reality. And Bill Gates did this in 1979 when he said that he sees a future when there's a computer on every desk and in every home. And at that time, it seemed ridiculous because just 10 years earlier, in 1969, the first person was sent to the moon. And this thing today has more processing power, more computing power than every single computer in the world that was used to put a person on the moon in 1969. Think about that. Isn't that amazing? These things are everywhere, and Bill Gates' prediction became true. This is, in essence, a computer. And people ridiculed him at the time, but he was right. He was right. And I think that if you write a book about your goals, what you want your goals to be, then the likelihood of you making them goes up materially. And I want to give you a good example of this. So one of my heroes when I was a kid was this guy named Dave Stieb. He was a pitcher for the Blue Jays. I think he was the best pitcher back in the 80s. That's just my biased opinion. But he wrote this book, and this book was called Tomorrow I'll Be Perfect. And I think he wrote it in 1986. And he wrote it because he'd had so many near almost amazing no-hitter games, which basically means you threw a perfect game or almost. And what happened was, after he wrote this, he threw a couple of games that were almost perfect, and then he actually threw his no-hitter. So it's pretty amazing. So he really put his neck on the line by writing that book. And a lot of us want to write a book, and we never actually finish it. And it was my goal for years to write a book, and I never told anybody. And then finally I got frustrated, and I was like, look, I got to get this done. And so what I did was I vocalized my goal. It's not a good book, whatever, but I vocalized my goal. I told my parents, my friends, my family, my workmates, you know, people at work, and they're like, Chris, where's that book? Where's that book? And then what I did was, because I said I was going to write that book, eventually I did. But I did one other thing that I recommend you do, which is this. I went to a website called Fiverr.com. That's Fiverr.com. And for $5, you can get anything done. For $5, I ordered the cover of my book, and I hadn't even finished the book. And I ordered that cover of my book, and I put the cover, when I got it in the mail, around the outside of another book. And I kept that book on my desk for quite a while, and that really motivated me to actually get that book written. And so you should do the same thing too if you want to write a book. And there's other ways to visualize your goals as well. You know, there's this company we all know of called Successories, and I love this one here. I'm going to read it to you. It says, dream, resolve to succeed. The greatest discovery one can make is that nothing is impossible. I love these things. And if little things like that motivate you, then buy a lot of them, buy more of them, and put your goals on it. You can customize them as well. Or little things like this on your desk, whatever, a lot of paperweights people have in their offices. If that motivates you, then do it. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And when we were kids, remember we used to have posters of cars on our walls? Remember those days? Why don't we do that anymore? Why don't we do that anymore? Well, here's what I bought for my son for Christmas last year. This is such a dope gift. That's how the young people say cool, dope, groovy, okay? All right, so he wants to own a football team, okay? Soccer team. And so this here is a one share of Manchester United. How cool is that, eh? So he owns one share of that company right now. And a lot of people have a goal to own a sports team when they get older. And if you visualize it, put it on your wall, then there's a good chance that it will become true if you believe in it, okay? And I actually, speaking of that quote of people often overestimate what they can achieve in a year, and they underestimate what they can achieve in a decade, I created this poster here. I'm gonna sit down beside it and show it to you, okay? So, sorry about the reflection there. I'll do a picture-in-picture if this doesn't work out that well. But this here is a goal of a book set that I wanna write. And I'm not gonna advertise that course, but on the bottom I wrote there a quote from Picasso, who's awesome. Now Picasso said, everything you can imagine is real. How cool is that? And you can go to Vista Print as well and get that written up. And the reason I say, and I repeated that quote, we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade, is because this goal of mine here is so lofty, it will probably slip into next year, but I'm not giving up on it. I'm not giving up on it. I'm gonna make that course. That's okay though, if you miss out on your goals, but you come close to them. There's nothing wrong with that if you set really lofty goals. Now, it was James Cameron, the incredible director of Titanic, Avatar, who said that set your goals so high that if you fail, meaning if you don't achieve them, you still succeed above everyone else's expectations. And so, speaking of Picasso and that awesome quote that he wrote, which is surreal, my son said to me after I put it up, my 12-year-old at the time, Matthew, just turned 13 the other day, he said, "Dad, if you can imagine it, then why don't you own a Picasso?" Right? And I said, "Well, you know, Picassos are really expensive. You know, they're millions of dollars. I can't afford that." Right? And he said, "Well, have you looked into it?" And so we looked into it together. And we went to eBay, and this is actually, I gotta show you, this is so cool. So here's what I discovered. I love my kids. So I discovered that any painting with color in it from Picasso is worth a fortune. But in the 50s, 60s, and I think maybe early 70s, he made a gazillion paintings every day of a matador with black ink. And so what I did was I actually bought one. Let me show you. Let me show you a story about the unstable picture here. And after I show you this, I'm gonna show you my lifetime goal. And because I'm vocalizing what my next goal is gonna be in a minute, it's right over there, I'll show you in a second. Because I'm vocalizing it, I have to work towards making it a reality, okay? Pressure, in a good way. All right, so here it is, I'll show you. It's right here, okay? How cool is that? How cool is that? It was, I think it was a couple $100, right? And I bought it, and it's from Barcelona, from a museum there. It was made in 1959, it looks like right here. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. So I love my kids for pushing me to think that way. Now, I'm gonna put my neck on the line. You ready? Okay, here I go. All right, so I love teaching. And I love creating videos. I'm not that good at it. I'm trying my best. I'm a lot better than I used to be. Ready for my goal? Here it is. Okay. I'm nervous. Here I go. Okay. This is a fake. Okay? I'm a fraud. I'm holding a fake version of this right now. This is an Academy Award. My goal in my life, actually, I'm giving myself 10 years right now. Okay, I'm telling you right now, 10-year goal. My 10-year goal, meaning by the year 2028, is to get an Oscar for a business documentary. I love business, I love teaching, I love video, and I want to get one of these Oscars, kind of like I think it was there's a famous basketball player who won it last year. Oh my God, what's it? Kobe. Sorry, the older I got, the better I was. I forgot his name there. I want to get one of these things. Okay, this is a fake. It weighs 13 pounds. Urgh, too heavy for me. And on it, you can see those 5 circles. You see it? Those are the 5 original branches of the Academy there, those 5 circles. Anyway, that's what I want to get. So I've really put myself on the line there. I'm going to try to achieve it. And I really want to encourage you to do the same thing. To either order something from Vistaprint or some cheap mock-up like I had there of that award, or something just to motivate you to get it done, to achieve that goal. What are you waiting for? And I say that very politely. That wasn't polite, sorry. But I want to end this video actually with a short video clip from Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey, I love this guy. This guy's got an amazing life. So when he was a teenager, living just outside of Toronto, close to where I grew up, he and his father lived in a trailer park, and during the evenings, they were janitors. They had to clean urinals and bathrooms in a high school. And what Jim Carrey did was he sat down and he pulled out a piece of paper one night and a pen. And it actually was a check. It was a blank check. And he made the check out to himself for, I think it was a huge amount, $1 million or 10 million, I can't remember. But I'll show you the video after this, which will verify it. And then once he created that check to himself for services rendered, he put that check, he folded it up, and he kept it in his wallet. And he carried that wallet around with him everywhere for a long, long time. And I think it was 10 years later to the day or something like that, he actually made a fortune. I remember even that great movie Dumb and Dumber, which I know every word of. It's not saying much about me, sorry, but he made like 9 or 10 million for that movie. He did incredibly well. But I'm going to end this video with a quick interview here. Oprah's interviewing Jim Carrey on that moment, and I really encourage you to please set a goal that's incredibly lofty and carry it around with you if you can, or put it on your wall or on your desk so you see it every day, or put it in your calendar on your phone and have that calendar repeat daily that item so you never forget about it. What are you waiting for? You got to make it happen, okay? All right, so the bottom line is make it happen starting today, but put a deadline on that goal. Most people set goals, right? New Year's goals, and they give up on them because they don't set a deadline. Whatever goal you come up with, I want you to set a deadline and tell your friends as well, and order something visual if you want, if it helps you, to visualize that goal and make it happen. Okay, so if this was helpful, and only if this was helpful, please click the like button and subscribe, and I will see you mañana. Thank you.
Who would have thought in all of the years of the Oprah Show that Jim Carrey would be one of our greatest teachers? Jim Carrey! Okay. Obviously you knew somewhere inside yourself that you were destined to be famous, because I think it's really a marvelous thing, that visualization thing you did. Do you all read about this or hear this? That you used to go up on Mulholland Drive and park
every night
and visualize seeing yourself as...
Yeah, I would visualize,
This is when you were broke and poor.
You know, right, having directors interested in me and people that I respected saying, you know, I like your work, or whatever that is, and I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever.
This was in like 1987, 85?
Yeah. And I had nothing at that time, so it was like, but it just made me feel better. It made me, at that time, all it really was for me was kind of making me feel better. I would drive home and think, well, I do have these things, and they're out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet, but they're out there.
Okay, so you would get this from what, self-help books or whatever?
Yeah, self-help section.
Self-help section.
They've renamed it the Jim Carrey wing.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years, or 3 years maybe, and I dated it Thanksgiving 1995. And I put it in my wallet, and I kept it there, and it deteriorated and stuff. But then, just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on, I think it was Dumb and Dumber, maybe.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah. So you visualize yourself like... Visualization works if you work hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can't just visualize and then, you know, go eat a sandwich.